Why Japanese simplicity feels so addictive. Have you ever scrolled through those perfectly organized Japanese apartment tours and felt like you could watch them for hours? Or found yourself binge-watching videos of people decluttering their homes at 2 in the morning? There's a satisfaction to this aesthetic. It's not just visual appeal, it's psychological warfare on your stress. The reason this minimalist approach feels so addictive isn't because it looks good. It's because it hacks a fundamental pattern in how your mind processes information and finds peace. Once you understand the psychology behind it, you'll realize why Western culture's approach to living spaces has been suffocating you. I've spent years studying design psychology and cultural aesthetics. What I discovered changed everything. In this video, I'm breaking down the 5 core principles that make this minimalist philosophy irresistibly compelling. By the end, you'll understand exactly why your mind craves this aesthetic and how you can use these same principles to transform your space starting today. Here's what most people completely miss about the first principle. Minimalist design isn't about having less. It's about creating what they call MA, the concept of negative space, the emptiness between objects. Here's where it gets fascinating. Your mind doesn't just see objects, it processes the space around them. When a room is cluttered, your visual cortex is working overtime, trying to categorize every single item in your field of vision. This creates cognitive load. Your mental processing power is exhausted from analyzing too much information. Here's the no-way moment. Studies show that reducing visual clutter can decrease cortisol levels by up to 25%. That's the stress hormone. The reason you feel instantly calmer when you look at a minimalist interior isn't preference, it's biology. Your neural pathways are literally less stressed when they have emptiness to rest in. Eastern philosophy understood this centuries before we had MRI machines to prove it. They built their aesthetic around giving your cognitive system permission to breathe. Think about a traditional tea room, almost nothing in it. A single scroll on the wall, maybe one flower arrangement. That's it. Every object is intentional, and the void between objects matters as much as the objects themselves. This creates perceptual fluency, which is how easily your mind processes visual information. The easier it is to process what you see, the more positive emotions you feel. Minimalist interiors make you feel peaceful. If you thought that was interesting, the next principle will completely reframe how you see imperfection. There's this concept called wabi-sabi, the acceptance of imperfection and impermanence. Western culture has completely missed the point here. We're obsessed with perfection. Everything has to be flawless, Instagram ready, manufactured to look brand new. Here's what researchers discovered about human psychology that changes everything. Perfect things actually create anxiety. Let me explain why. When something is too perfect, your mind knows it can't maintain that standard. You become hyper-aware that any small damage will ruin it. This creates what psychologists call preservation anxiety. You're constantly worried about keeping it pristine. Wabi-sabi flips this entirely. A ceramic bowl with a crack isn't ruined, it's enhanced. Eastern artisans repair broken pottery with gold lacquer in a technique called kintsugi. They highlight the breaks, making them more beautiful than the original. This tells your neural pathways that imperfection isn't just acceptable, it's valuable. Here's the addictive part. When you embrace wabi-sabi, you free yourself from the exhausting pursuit of perfection. That weathered wood table, it's telling a story. Those uneven handmade ceramics, they have character that factory-perfect items never will. Your cognitive system actually finds more interest in imperfect objects because they're unique. They're not trying to be something they're not. That authenticity is deeply psychologically satisfying. I learned this the hard way. I used to replace my coffee mugs the moment they got a tiny chip. Now I have one handmade cup with a visible crack running down the side. Cost me $12. I drink from it every morning and it brings me more joy than the $30 pristine set I threw away ever did. This only works if you understand the third principle, which goes way deeper than most people realize. Eastern design uses sensory minimalism. Most people think this philosophy is just about reducing visual clutter. Wrong. It's about reducing all sensory input. The textures, the sounds, the smells. Everything is carefully curated to prevent your nervous system from drowning in stimulation. Consider a traditional home built with natural materials: wood, paper, bamboo, stone. These materials don't just look simple, they feel simple. Run your hand across smooth cedar, listen to the soft rustle of shoji screens. Breathe in the subtle, earthy scent of tatami mats. None of it is fighting for your attention. Western interiors? They hit you with synthetic materials, strong artificial scents, harsh LED lighting, constant visual noise. Your nervous system is under siege, suffocating under relentless stimulation. Then you wonder why you can't relax in your own home. Here's another no-way fact. Research on biophilic design shows that natural materials reduce blood pressure and heart rate within just 3 to 5 minutes of exposure. 3 to 5 minutes. Eastern philosophers weren't being poetic when they chose natural materials. They were practical. They understood that your body responds to nature in ways that synthetic materials can never replicate. When you're surrounded by organic textures and subtle sensory experiences, your parasympathetic nervous system activates. That's the part responsible for rest and recovery. If you're wondering how this connects to the addictive quality, here's the answer. Your cognitive system is constantly seeking homeostasis, balance. But modern life keeps you in sensory chaos. This minimalist approach offers your nervous system what it's been desperately craving: calm, consistency, predictability. Once you experience that feeling, your mind wants more. That's the addiction. It's not superficial, it's neurological. I tested this in my bedroom, replaced synthetic polyester sheets with linen, swapped the plastic alarm clock for wood, added 1 bamboo plant. Total cost? $47. Within 1 week, I was falling asleep faster. My smartwatch showed my resting heart rate dropped 4 beats per minute. If you're finding this valuable, subscribe to the channel because understanding design psychology changes everything. Drop a comment and let me know which principle is resonating most with you so far. Here's where most people completely miss the deeper philosophy. This minimalist approach is not just about the physical space, it is about ichigo ichie. It translates to one time, one meeting. The understanding that every moment is unique and will never happen again. This principle completely changes how you interact with your environment and your possessions. Western consumer culture tells you to accumulate. More is better. Buy the upgraded version. Fill your home. Ichigo Ichi teaches the opposite. Each object you keep should be meaningful. It should serve a purpose or bring you joy. Because you are treating each moment as unrepeatable, you become more present. You are not thinking about what you need next. You are appreciating what exists now. This creates mindful consumption. Instead of mindlessly accumulating, you are intentionally curating. Here's what makes this psychologically addictive. When you own fewer possessions, but each one is meaningful, your attachment increases. That single perfect mug brings more satisfaction than a cabinet full of random cups. Your neural reward system releases more dopamine from meaningful interaction with one cherished object than from passive ownership of many forgotten ones. The part that makes all of this actually achievable, instead of just another overwhelming self-improvement lecture. The fifth principle is Kaizen, continuous improvement through small, incremental changes. You don't have to Marie Kondo your entire house in one weekend. That's not sustainable. The minimalist approach is gradual. Remove one unnecessary item. Create one area of breathing room. Replace one synthetic material with organic. Small steps, repeated consistently. This is where the addiction becomes a positive force. Each small improvement gives you a little hit of satisfaction. Your cognitive reward system celebrates progress, not perfection. So you keep going, one drawer at a time, one surface at a time. Before you know it, your entire environment has shifted. You didn't burn yourself out trying to achieve it overnight. The process itself becomes meditative, enjoyable, a practice you look forward to. Here's the truth most people don't want to hear. This aesthetic feels addictive because Western culture has conditioned you to live in constant overstimulation. Your cognitive system is exhausted. Your nervous system is fried. These Eastern design principles offer something radical: rest, breathing room. permission to do less, own less, and stress less. That's not just an aesthetic choice, it's a survival strategy for your mental health. The beauty of this minimalist philosophy isn't that it's exotic, it's that it aligns perfectly with how your mind naturally wants to function. Your ancestors didn't live in cluttered spaces filled with hundreds of objects. They lived simply, surrounded by natural materials, with emptiness to think and breathe. Eastern culture just never lost that wisdom. They refined it, codified it, turned it into an art form. So when you feel that addictive pull toward this aesthetic, you're not chasing a trend. You're responding to a biological need for peace. Your cognitive system recognizes something true, something that works. Once you experience it, you can't unsee it. Every cluttered room feels chaotic. Every unnecessary object feels heavy. You start craving that negative space, those organic materials, that sense of intentionality. Remember this. This minimalist philosophy isn't about copying someone else's culture. It's about understanding universal principles of human psychology. You don't need to live in a minimalist apartment to benefit from these concepts. You just need to understand what your cognitive system actually needs. Breathing room to process. Natural materials to calm your nervous system. Meaningful objects instead of mindless accumulation. Imperfection instead of anxious preservation. Small, consistent improvements instead of overwhelming overhauls. That's why this aesthetic feels so addictive, because it gives your mind exactly what it's been missing in our chaotic, overstimulated modern world. Once you taste that kind of peace, you'll keep coming back for more. If this changed how you think about your environment, go watch this video next where I break down exactly how to apply these principles room by room starting today.